This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutastrophe welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, January the 8th, only 4 years ago, in the year 2018, Alabama and Georgia met in the BCS championship game. I know that they're meeting the 2022 version, but 4 years earlier, they met in the version. In another version. So, it was the college football playoff. The top 4 teams get to face each other. 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 in different bowl games. So, the 2017 Alabama Crimson Tide were playing, and they were pretty good. Anyway, so Alabama had been number 1 in the nation every week except for their loss to Auburn. When they went to Auburn and faced the number 6 Auburn Tigers, they lost 24-16, which was shocking because Auburn seemed to always have Bama's number. So Bama had to limp into the Sugar Bowl at the Superdome in New Orleans to take on number 1 Clemson. And they took Clemson to the cleaners, 24-6. Usually, Bama and Clemson always seem to bump into each other. So that was the case for Bama. So they won 24-6 in the Sugar Bowl to get to the final in Atlanta. And guess who they faced? Yes, that's right, Georgia. The Bulldogs also suffered 1 loss. And just like Alabama, they lost it to Auburn. In Auburn. So both Bama and Georgia had something in common. They lost to Auburn. They would bounce back. They dropped from 1 to 7. They were number 1, and then they dropped to number 7. And then they jumped up to number 3 with a convincing SEC championship game victory against Auburn at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the national championship was going to be held. So that was huge. That got them to number 3 in the nation, and that got them into one of the greatest Rose Bowls of all time. To say that the Rose Bowl is an iconic event, especially in the world of college football and sports, is an understatement, because the Rose Bowl is a tight game. But man, Georgia, Oklahoma, that double overtime Rose Bowl, it was one of the greatest, if not the greatest Rose Bowl of all time. Although I did something on the 2006 Rose Bowl a couple days ago. But as is, the fact of the matter is that it was huge. I can't state that enough. I mean, watching the game on TV, I was entranced by it. 102 points combined, that's a Rose Bowl record still to this day. I mean, we were on the heels of Penn State USC's fantastic finish the year before, but man, Oklahoma, Georgia delivered, especially Sony Michel putting up 3 touchdown runs. And I was really happy when Sony Michel was picked by the Pats in the end of the first round. And I told my buddy Bill, who's a big Pats fan, I said, watch out for Sony Michel. He'll help the running game. And he did. And then he stupidly got traded to the Rails. The Pats made a stupid move. Anyhow, Bama and Georgia were facing each other. And Georgia looked good. They're kind of at their home turf because it is in the state of Georgia. A pair of field goals by a speckled kicker with the coat bottle glasses, kind of like Ricky Fawn in Wild Thing. Ricky Fawn in Major League. Anyway, Rodrigo Blankenship put up a pair of field goals to make it 6-0. And then McCall Hardman, now the Chiefs, got a touchdown run. 13-0. Bama had to lick their wounds. But in the third quarter, they made a big drive. Tua Tagovailoa, I can't pronounce his name, but Tua threw a pass to Henry Ruggs III. Unfortunately for Henry Ruggs III, he just had to do a stupid DUI this year. Well, a good member of the Raiders. And worst of all, he killed somebody. He's fucked. Extra point, good. And then Georgia got to play as Jake Fromm, who's the Giants' #2, I think. Now, threw a big touchdown pass to to Hardman. So Hardman caught an 80-yard pass for a touchdown. Blankenship makes it 20-7. Bama then comes back with a pair of field goals by Andy Papanastos. And then with 4 minutes left, Calvin Ridley, now the Falcons, made a touchdown catch from Tua to make it 20-all. So Georgia had a chance to knock Bama flat on their own turf, but they failed. So it was on to overtime. Now, college football overtime works a little bit different than NFL overtime. I know that both teams may get a chance to have a possession of the ball in the NFL overtime. However, in college football, both teams will scrimmage from their opponent's 35-yard line. Was it 25? 25, sorry. And basically, both teams will get a possession. If one team scores a touchdown and then the other team scores a touchdown, we keep going, and they'll change the order start. So Georgia went first in overtime. Didn't really get much. They got -9 yards, but still, Rodrigo Blankenship hit a 51-yarder. Well, it's easy to do when it's in a dome, like no weather problems. So it's 23-20. Bama was down to it after a missed opportunity and all that. Well, Tua got sacked for a 16-yard loss. And then on second down, he threw a massive touchdown pass to Devonta Smith on a play that was called 2nd and 26 by Bama fans. Devonta Smith now plays for the Eagles, but he caught the ball, ran left side, and ran into the end zone for the touchdown. Game over. Bama wins the national championship. 26-23. Georgia actually only took care of Bama in the passing game, 232 to 187 passing yards. But the rushing is where Bama always strikes. So it was good for them and all that. So it was huge. And all that. The only problem with the 2017-18 college football playoff was that UCF was angry because they actually were undefeated in Division 1A, if you will. And also the fact that Auburn defeated Alabama and Georgia during the regular season. But the SEC title game, Georgia beat Auburn. And the selection committee put UCF number 12, below a lot of 2-loss teams from the Power 5 conferences, and couldn't even be in the New Year's 6. However, UCF did get number 6. And actually got some first place votes. So yeah, UCF got a little bit bitter. Auburn was bitter, obviously, because they beat Bama and Georgia, but they couldn't beat Georgia when it counted in the SEC title game, which would have got them into the playoff, I bet, at Georgia's expense, and maybe at Bama's expense. But that's neither here or there or anywhere. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.